Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So we're gonna dig a little deeper and hit an angle that a lot of people not gonna like and not really want to hear, but you got to put it out there. The question is, how do a lot of these migrants pay to come over here? When you hear numbers like 3,000, 7,000, 10,000, 50,000, depending on what part of the world you're coming from, the question is always going to be asked, how can they afford to get there? Now, I personalize it. Lord, thinking about going over to South Africa, trying to think about taking a trip there, it's a few $1,000s. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible, because I can do it and, plan on do it. But when you see when the money adding up, you're like, dang, that's going to be a lot. But, it's going to be worth it because, you got to see the world. So it ain't no thing. But you're talking about a guy who has a good career, the earnings is unlimited pretty much. Can work as much as I want to, make as much money I need to be able to do what I want. That's one thing. But when you talk about people that come over here and do like manual labor jobs, barely making minimum wages, that, and not even making that in their own country. I knew a guy who said he made $7 a week making boxes at a warehouse in Mexico. Like I said, this is about 20 something years ago, but still can't be no different. So like I said, the question is how can they afford this? So, but I want to go ahead and get into it because there's a couple of articles I want to get to before I get to the main topic. And it's about this major human trafficking bust in Florida that happened a few days ago. And when you hear this, I'll let you decide how you feel about it. So the first little article I want to get to is from the New York Times. And it says smuggling migrants at the border, now a $1 billion business. Now, this came out July 25th of 2022. So this is about a little less than 2 years old. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the part I want to get to is, let's see, looking for the money, looking for the numbers. Dang, I was there, but I had to look at something else earlier. So it says this. Like I said, we fast forward if you want to, I'll put the link in the description. I'll try to. So you can see the whole thing, but it's just a little snippet of it. It says Teofilo Valencia, whose 17 and 19-year-old sons perished in the San Antonio tragedy. So I guess some people died in a high-speed chase, and I guess died like in the back of a 18-wheeler, and I guess the 18-wheeler crashed or something happened. I can't remember, but anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. Son perished in the San Antonio tragedy said he had taken out a loan against a family home to pay the smugglers $10,000 for each son's transport. Fees typically range from $4,000 for migrants coming from Latin America to $20,000 if they must be moved from Africa, Eastern Europe, or Asia, according to Guadalupe Correa Cabrera, an expert on smuggling at George Mason University. For years, independent coyotes paid cartels a tax to move migrants through territory they control along the border, and the criminal syndicate stuck to their traditional lines of business, drug smuggling, which was far more profitable. And I don't know if you recall, but I did a video a while back where I mentioned there was a guy on, there's a documentary about American Gladiators. There was a guy who was a contestant. He was an older guy. Most of the main actors that was part of American Gladiator did not like this dude because of his attitude. But he was older. He was saying, "Look, man, I got family to feed. Some of the stuff y'all want me to go through, it's not fair. Like, y'all set me up to fail, and I made it to the finals, and I'm not gonna put up with your bull, blah blah blah, whatever happened." So he wasn't a fan favorite. But in the end, at the end of the story, he said that he ended up being a coyote, smuggling, people to the border, across the border, what have you. And he said he made good money, and he bragged on it. So, like I said, this is like a white dude in his 40s and 50s, maybe 60s, talking about this. Say he retired, but hey, I mean, if you believe him, you believe him. Don't you don't. So that's the thing. That like I said, that smuggling thing. That's even people in this country. Basically, what I'm saying is that he lived in this country and was smuggling people over. Then when I go to, let me see, CNN News, CNN.com, it says migrants from 3 countries paid $2.2 billion trying to reach the U.S. Most of it went to smugglers, right? So that's one article. And then another one, I had another one here, but we're not gonna go, we'll have to get into that because it's basically saying the same thing. But my point is, like I said, it's a lot of money. Smuggling people over is a lot of money. It's a big business, billions of dollars per year that migrants from different cities are paying. Different countries, are paying. And the question is, like I say, they want to know, like I said, how can they afford to do it? So, that's what I want to see. This one here, this little article came out in, I want to say 2014. So it's about 10 years old. It's on openborders.info. And it says, how can migrants afford huge smuggling fees? 3 answers it gives you. It's a nice little long article. But answer number 1, personal and family savings back home. Many migrants save up money over a decade in order to be able to finance their journey. In some cases, they liquidate their assets for the purpose. So I guess the story here is, if you really want to do something, you put your mind to it, you put your effort into it, and you'll sacrifice what you need to get it done. You sacrifice as much as you need to get it done. It says, let's say Louis' father, a fisherman, had scraped together every penny he could possibly to fund his son's journey to the U.S. Using his savings, borrowing from family and friends, he paid $30,000 up front to the smuggler, an astronomical figure for an average Chinese villager whose annual income was a few $100s at the time. So how's this cat getting $30,000 and he paid it up front? Let's see. Let me keep going. The second one, financing by family members already in the destination country. It says in many cases, the families of potential migrants that are already in the destination country finance their journeys. They're trying to get their spouses, siblings, children, or parents to join them. For close relationships where resources are pooled anyway, the financing may be a gift. For somewhat more distant relationships, the financing may be in the form of a loan, albeit one made informally with flexible payment terms, and so on and so on. Let's see, took them all, come up with $18,000. Instead, the smugglers would hold passengers once they arrived in the United States, giving them 36 or 72 hours to satisfy the debt. Such an arrangement might be unimaginable in any other ethnic community, but familial and communal ties among the Chinese in America were so strong that a new arrival could count on a guarantor cobbling together a 5-figure fee by borrowing small amounts from many people, 1,000 here, 500 there. The immigrant was thus indentured not so much to the snakehead as to his own family. Amazing. And number 3, they say loans from outside the family. It said even with the huge smuggling fees, migration pays off thanks to the place premium. This makes it possible, at least on paper, to have a good business model of lending to such migrants. The main problems relate to enforcement. How does a lender collect on delinquent buyers, given the underground nature of the whole operation? So some ways this can be done using family members and the source or destination as guarantors and collect from them immediately, or if the lender fails to repay. 2, having connections with gangs in the local community in the source or destination country that can cause violence or threats of violence if people fail to pay up. And 3, having connections with the employment networks used by migrants, such as Chinatown's kitchen network, making it difficult for people who haven't repaid loans to be able to get a job or otherwise survive in the community. So this is really like a Chinese American type smuggling ring here. So again, there are different ways you can pay, but like I said, one of the most dastardly and devious ways is taking a loan from the underground illegal market, which brings me to Our main topic. This is from newsnationnow.com, and it reads, Florida human trafficking bust. Sheriff shocked by a record arrest. It says a total of 228 people were arrested in a Florida human trafficking bust. Investigators said 13 of those arrested were victims of human trafficking. And Sheriff, quote, we all do these operations over and over and over again. And when you look online, when I Googled this story, it's like quite a few stories from the past years came up about how they arrested a bunch of people in these operations. Like one of them was like 113 people, I believe. Like recently, as last November, I think. And so he's right when he says that they have done, like I said, a lot of busts. But we're going to get into the article, and then I want you guys to hear what the sheriff has to say also. So let's get into it. Polk County, Florida Sheriff Grady Judd says he is shocked after a record number of arrests were made in an undercover human trafficking investigation. Quote, we were shocked, Judd said on News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas reports. We had 2 or 3 coaches and a teacher. We had a former detention deputy, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. Those people should know better. So basically he's talking about those who's just behind, the streetwalkers, the traffickers, the women that's being trafficked against, most likely against their will. According to the sheriff's office, Operation March Sadness 2024 targeted suspects associated with human trafficking, prostitution, and other crimes. A total of 228 people were arrested. News Nation affiliate WFLA reported that 150 suspects were charged with soliciting a prostitute. 8 other suspects were accused of deriving proceeds from prostitution or transporting prostitutes to the location set up by law enforcement. This is a new record number of arrests during an investigation of this kind, Judge said, while 66 suspects were also arrested on charges of prostitution. Investigators said 13 of them were victims of human trafficking. Now you might say, hey, 13 ain't a whole lot, right? It's just a few. My question is, how many is too many to you? 20, 30, 100, 1,000? Or should it be one? Should it be just one? See, sometimes you have to just throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you can't stop, and they know that a lot of these people are being trafficked, the stuff that we see, like I said, the government can see this on 1,000 levels deeper than we can, right? So they know about the trafficking. They know about the massage parlors. They know about the, like I say, the streetwalkers, the prostitution. They know about this more than we do. It's like, okay, put it on a personal level for anybody, who know people in the street gang. When they raid houses, they didn't just find out yesterday that they were selling drugs. No, they have been watching this for weeks, maybe months. But it depends on who takes over the case. Because if it's like local level, then it might, maybe some weeks. If it's on that Fed level, they may have been watching that whole operation for years, just to see, like, if it's like a whole apartment complex. Oh yeah, they've been watching that for years because they want to find out where they are getting the drugs from. They got to take time to put in a plant, time to get an informant in order to create a big enough case so that once they start arresting people, they are arresting hundreds. And like I say, they see this stuff for years. So like this guy, he's a sheriff and he's surprised by the size of the arrest because he's seen it enough. But again, this is not on the federal level. This is just like local, state, local government, the sheriff's department. But like I say, they're watching it for a long time. So you might see this story and say, oh, it's just 13, while the other 150 are just dirty dogs going in to try to get them some, try to get them some, and they can't get it nowhere else, and they're gonna use somebody basically getting it against their will. I mean, you know what? You can't downplay the 13. You can't downplay the 13 that you gotta look back and thinking, okay, she's doing that because there's a debt that's owed. She got brought over here, probably promised. Her family members were probably promised by some people that's in the cartel or in some kind of gangs. Promised that they'll get over here, they'll charge $10,000 and you can pay it off slowly. But then once they get over here, things change. They don't know nobody. They'll be friended. But when they get over here, things are different and they get lost in the system. That's what happens. 21 of those arrested were internationals who were in the country illegally, coming from Chile, Cuba, Guatemala, Mexico, Peru, Venezuela. WFLA reported another 18 suspects were said to be U.S. citizens from outside Florida, coming from Alabama, California, Georgia, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Puerto Rico, and Wisconsin. Dang! Exclusive news national coverage footage from a hidden camera in a hotel room shows moments during the undercover investigation. The man seen in the video is actually an undercover detective with the Polk County Sheriff's Department. At first, there's little small talk with the woman he solicited due to a language barrier. But with the help of some modern technology, a monetary transaction is made. After handing over the money, the situation escalated. The party picks up before it all comes to a halt when authorities step in to make the bust. The women seen in the video are from Venezuela, and after they were arrested, they say they were trafficked. Quote, my detectives who are the very best worked with the local police detectives, judge said, and we all do these operations over and over again. So it's no secret to anyone in this county that of the 228 arrests, only 42 was from this county. And they obviously live under a rock because we arrest many people. We were shocked. Aside from the suspects who was committing sex crimes, WFLA reported a pair of teen brothers were also arrested for planning to rob an undercover detective who posed as a prostitute. So even what Ice Cube say, even in the legal business, you still can't stick together. But what I want y'all to do, and again, like I said, I'm gonna put the link in the description. I want y'all to click on this, watch this video. But I want y'all to hear what this sheriff says. And what he says will probably shock you.
Sheriff Grady Judd joins us now. Sheriff, good work on all this. How did you get started on this whole investigation?
Thank you, Elizabeth. My detectives, who are the very best, worked with the local police detectives, and we all do these operations over and over and over again. So it's no secret to anyone in this county. Of the 228 arrested, only 42 were from this county, and they obviously live under a rock because we arrest many people. We were shocked. We had school teachers, we had coaches, we had a former detention deputy, and you see that we had victims that came to this country illegally. They were indentured to human.
So they had coaches and they had teachers. Do y'all ever think when you send your kids to school that they are in the best of hands? Do you ever worry that there could be deviants walking around the halls of the place where your children go? Not only just teaching them, but think about coaches. And then you wonder, what sport are they coaching? Are they PE coaches, or do they coach sports like, I don't know, girls basketball, girls volleyball, girls softball? There's another question I always wonder is, why are the girls seem to be dressed so scantily clad in these sports? Now, I go in support. I've coached girls softball, girls basketball, boys basketball, in the past. no problems. It is what it is. My daughters played the sports. I've coached the teams, but when you look at stuff like volleyball, that kind of throws me out because I wonder, why do they have to wear some freaking leg tights, like tights? I don't get it. And we're talking about girls in junior high, high school, college, pros, whatever. Now, the grown women, hey, it is what it is. I mean, it's still, you can still, oogle and ogle at these women, but I just don't understand how people find this acceptable for kids to when they play a sport where they wear skin tight clothes and they're always bent over, assuming a position or whatever. It just throws me off. And then, I'm the type of guy that when I see like young boys coming to a girls volleyball game, I already know what's up. I already know why you're there. Y'all don't like volleyball. You never played it. Probably ain't never played it in your life, but send their girls there. But anyway, it's just wondering, just think about it when you send your kids out there to school. That's why it's a good thing to get into the PTA, get to know your kids' teachers, the faculty, coaches, everybody. Let them see your face. Let them see your kids' father's face. Let them know, that everybody is in their life and they're not going to put up with the bullcorn.
Traffickers, in order to pay their way, they had to forward $3,000 a piece every Friday to their pimp or their trafficker.
$3,000 a week. How many people on this channel right now watching this video make $3,000 a week? Tax-free. Tax-free and able to pay, or let's just say you pay $3,000 a week for bills. I may pay $3,000 a month on bills, but $12,000 a month on bills, just putting it on a taxpayer's mentality. I'm thinking, that would drive me crazy. I wouldn't know how to do it because right now I'm trying to knock out a whole bunch of bills and debt and stuff to minimize how much is going out per month. I mean, I can do it, I can pay, but I don't want to. I just don't want to. So can you imagine having to pay $3,000 per week, forced to pay it? And if you ain't making that money, I mean, shoot, we don't see the movies about how the pimps operate.
You mentioned you had a school teacher, a coach. What were these people doing or accused of doing?
They were all soliciting prostitutes. In fact, we had 2 from the Air Force and 1 who was going to join the Air Force. We had 2 or 3 coaches and a teacher. We had a former detention deputy. And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
All of them public servants, military and police, military, police, and teachers. All of them having jobs to serve the people of this nation. And these are the folks who are participating in soliciting illegal migrants for sex trafficking. That they're coming over here against their will.
Those people should know better.
Yeah.
They are public servants, but they got caught up and they got arrested.
How do these women fall victim to this kind of sex trafficking? Those women from Venezuela who we just saw in that hotel room, that you say they're being forced to pay up $3,000 a week, which is a huge sum of money for these folks. Were these people, these traffickers, did they bring them here from Venezuela and that's why they're in their debt?
Now check this out.
Exactly, Elizabeth. They brought them over, and this is part of what they charged them. And they landed, when they came into the country, they were given some kind of documentation which allowed them to get on an airplane and fly free. The government paid for it, of course. They flew and were operating out of Yonkers, New York. The lead that we have on the human trafficker is that it's an illegal female Dominican in the South Florida area. So she would arrange and set up their meets, and then they would fly to the various areas. So our nearest large airport is the Tampa airport, about 30 minutes away. The three of the ladies flew in, plus the handler, which is to watch them and make sure that they work.
So what do you get out of that? Here's what I got out of it. They come across the border, they come to the border seeking asylum, or they use that, I know I'm getting it wrong, but the CPI 1 app, whatever the app is, that they can apply for asylum and somehow get approved to come over here. They get flown here. Remember, Joe, this is an act that Joe Biden put into place to where he brought them in to like over 40 something different airports in the country. The information on how many came, what airports they're coming to, what time of day they're coming here, that information is sealed because they don't want any problems of people trying to do something to, harm these people. They fly over here, and then they're flown over here to different, like I say, the cities, and get set up to work. There's an innumerable amount of migrants that are missing, they can't find. Or they come over here, go in the system, get a court date, and it's 5 or 6 years from now. Like I talked about the migrants that coming from California, coming through California, and how they show videos of these guys running down the mountains, coming through the mountains, running into the city and disappearing. A lot of them are probably handlers. A lot of them probably work in these massage parlors and things of that nature, working for the mafias and gangs and smugglers and cartels from the other countries, and they come over here and they disappear. This is what you're talking about. This is why you say, if it's anything, if it's not even about the money that they spending on housing these migrants and how they're using resources for them and not for their own citizens, we're gonna yell that to the end of time. But you got guys coming over here, able-bodied men coming over here doing some devious things. And this is one of them. How can you justify leaving the borders open when if just one person came over here to traffic or came over here and became part or came over here to be trafficked? How can you justify that? I don't. And that your tax dollars are helping this continue. Think about that in November.
Now, here's what's interesting. They told us this. We haven't verified it yet, but they said every time they flew, they presented those documents and flew for free. So we said, are you kidding us? So the federal government flew you to Tampa to have sex, to work, and we just can't believe it. So it's not just a one-way ticket. Apparently they're able to fly several ways.
Wait, what is this documentation? I'm still confused as to what they're producing to.
Now, I'm not thinking that. I don't think that America's flying them over here to have sex. No, I think they're just flying them over here to quote unquote work. But the problem is they're not vetting them right. And even though, and they know that, because come on now. When they arrest these people, they have like no American citizenship. They have no American documents. Don't even have a green card. Probably can't speak the language. Don't know how they got here. Don't know where they came from. Come on now. This is going on, and it's been going on for so long. But now, thanks to the internet and thanks to those like myself and others who see stories like this that are not really broadcast like they should be, our little channels with a little following, little supporters, we can bring it to y'all and y'all can put it out there too. Y'all can repeat the same thing y'all hear from me and you can back it up with facts. You can back it up with, interviews like this where the sheriff is telling you exactly what's going on.
To get a free airline ticket.
Whenever they come into the country illegally and they register as
on the app, on the Border Patrol app?
Yes, it would be DHS. They are given a document so they can get on an aircraft without identification, without a driver's license, without the proper documentation that the rest of us have to have, and they're allowed to fly to, i.e., New York. And that.
If you or I ever got on an airplane, or try to board a plane, you think you can get on an airplane with just a piece of paper? Without showing your ID, without showing your passport, and without showing your ticket information? At least showing it 2-3 times before you actually get on that plane? You think you can get on the plane with just a piece of paper and nothing else? And then this also raises a question about that, what do they call it? The voter ID laws and how they say that's discriminatory against black people. See, the people up top, they find these Democratic shields, the Congressional Black Caucus, and they feed this bullcorn to them about how them trying to make us have a driver's license is like racist. When we want to vote, you should be able to vote by, I don't know, voter registration card or signing your name or something like that, but not showing a proper ID. Everywhere I go, I got to show ID. When I rent a car, hell, I couldn't even rent a car it wasn't for me, but I reserved the car and I couldn't be there to pick it up. They said that the reservation couldn't stay in my name because I wasn't going to be there. Even though they know me, I've rented cars many a times. The same card number is on, they got my card number. Hell, I could have FaceTimed them son guns. They still wouldn't have done it. Talking about that, I had to be there. But my money could have been there. My car could have been there. Without me there, that wouldn't have been no problem because the man told me that. But he told me my face had to be there to keep the reservation the way it was. Go figure. So when you go to the store and get alcohol, or you gotta show your ID unless you look a little older. You go in if you purchase like big ticket items, cars or anything else, whatever you do, you gotta show your driver's license. Anything that has age restriction on it, you have to show driver's license. Even going to go pick up a prescription, not a prescription, over-the-counter medicine like a Sudafed or something, you got to show your ID. But yet the voters registration, they want you not to show the ID. And like I said, they try to make it seem like they're discriminating against black folks, but that's not it. This is it. This is it because these people don't have ID. So what they're thinking is, what they're banking on is that since a lot of black Americans are going away from the Democratic Party, these Democrats are thinking, hey, let me get as many of these migrants in. We're going to pass these laws to where they don't have to have IDs because they don't have to have ID to fly on a freaking plane. And that way, so they can vote for us because they're going to love us so much because we brought them away from a bad place that, hell, Venezuela, America pretty much created the bad place because they put sanctions on them for whatever reason. And so that they can't make money. So them people in Venezuela are trying to come over here. And I saw somebody say something about Haiti. Haiti should be the one, but what they're going through now, they should be like the biggest place that can come over here and seek asylum. But I read that a lot of Haitians have come over here and are in this country. But it's funny how they found a bunch of them living under, was it a dry cleaner or a store or something? Paying so many hundreds of dollars a month to sleep in rooms to where there's not enough room for it. It's amazing they find them black folk, them foreign black folks in the store, but they can't find these other people. Interesting. But anyway, like I said, like he's saying, they don't have no ID and nothing like that. And they can get on the plane, just get a paper that the government say, here you go. So that's why. That's the voter ID law. This is why. Not for us. Just want y'all to understand that.
That's what happened.
Wow.
And then these folks independently during interviews told us they were allowed to fly any place they wanted to. Now, we haven't verified that, or we haven't verified how they worked that out. But they claim they didn't pay to fly. It's like kind of Southwest. You don't make you pay for the bags. You don't have to pay to fly, I guess, if you're illegal.
Sheriff Grady Judd, good work breaking up this ring. Illegal immigrants helping to run it, illegal immigrants being victims of it. It's a good thing you put a stop to it. Thank you so much, Sheriff, for joining us.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We'll be doing another one before long.
So he already knows he's not going to stop it, but there's only so much he can do because he's a sheriff. We talk about people crossing the border and doing these things, making all this money, trafficking all these people. Like I say, there's only so much that he can do as a sheriff. So can't really follow him, but the man is doing, I commend him because he's doing everything that he can possibly within the law to bring an end to this. And the way it looks is he's not getting the help from higher up to shut it down. Probably kind of like at your job when you get to a job and having all these issues on the floor that you work on in the department that you work in, and you say, man, if only I had help from management, upper management, to give me the tools that I need, like maybe missing some supplies or equipment is tore up, breaking down, and we need to replace it. If we had that would alleviate a lot of the problems. It won't alleviate all, but it can stop a lot of these little leaks, and you may have better retention, and you may have better reviews from current and former employees online. But then you kind of find out when it's about money, they really don't care about what you're talking about. Understand it's a business, and we're here to make money. And it seems like maybe our government is doing the same thing when it comes to stuff like this, because they ain't stopping this. They ain't stopping the drugs that's coming in. And I mean, you heard of the Iran-Contra deal back in the day with Ricky Ross, like the real Rick Ross. You know what I'm saying? They're bringing in drugs, the money, they're using the money to fund weapons to help fight wars. So nothing's changed. But that's all I got for the story. What I'm going to tell you is just remember, vote for policy, not for the person and not for the party. But tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Hey, let's dialogue. You know how we do it around here. Also, 4 free ways that you can support the channel. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Always, they're free. And it help boost the video and the channel in the algorithm so we can get more watchers, more subscribers, and create more content. And hopefully content that everybody appreciate. I appreciate you guys. I read the comments, and a lot of people tell me that they like what I'm doing, like how I'm doing, and I love that because it motivates me to come out and, to try to create something better than the last video or the last subject matter. But it's also, can cause, I ain't gonna say stress, but, it could be a normal average person cause a little pressure, because now you got people who's promoting you and who's liking what you're doing. So now you want to keep it up, you know what I'm saying? Keep bringing content. And that's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna be myself, do what I can. And hopefully, y'all learn something from it. Y'all can learn and y'all can teach. And I can learn from you guys, and hopefully I can teach you guys something. That's all we're trying to do, is learn and be better, productive members of society. But anyway, tell me what you think about the story. Leave your comments below, then share it with the world. And with that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.